What's up, everybody? Legalize it. You may y'all say legalize it. I'm very proud to be here. This is marijuana justice. This is a social justice issue. In fact, marijuana has been legal in some places for a very, very long time. They tried to decriminalize it. It didn't work. It's time for full legalization of marijuana. I shared my story just a few weeks ago. When I was younger for a little bit, I saw a little bit of bud, not for too long, but a couple dimes, couple nicks. If I was caught, I might not have been an elected official. I might not have been able to get a job. We have to make sure we're honest about what's happening here and why it's happening here. There are communities that get away with this for far too long, and we have to be honest about that. You hear me? So in Albany, I hope they're listening. I think they're trying to sweep this under the rug, but we will not let them do this. We will have full legalization of marijuana in New York State. But all y'all, I need y'all to stay with me on this one too. The only way we're going to do this is if we expunge all the records of everybody who's been in the criminal justice system associated with marijuana. Seattle did it. They went all the way back to 30 years. We have a quote-unquote Democrat, quote-unquote progressive governor in the office. If he's really progressive, legalize it, Governor Cuomo. Expunge the records. And the last part. Nobody should make money off marijuana until the communities who have been ravaged by the over-policing and criminalization of it make money. No one should make money off marijuana until black and brown communities have access to sell the thing that will be legal, that they were arrested for, that they couldn't get jobs for, that they couldn't get student loans for, that will continue the school and prison pipeline for. Are y'all with me? Yeah! Are y'all with me? Yeah! Everybody say expunge. Expunge. Everybody say access to money. Access to money. Legalize it. Jamani Williams, your public advocate, advocating for the public. Yeah. Peace, everybody.
That's what an advocate looks like, folks. We're very lucky to have him on our side. So, speaking of luck, we actually have some very wonderful partners that have made today possible, and I want to thank them all. We have Empire State Normal, Women Grow, Start Smart, Drug Policy Alliance, High and Wide, Cannabis Cultural Association, New Jersey Cannabis Association, Rebel, MJBA, and a rebel-minded society. I'm very proud to say I work with these people, I know these people, their hearts are in the right place, their intents are in the right place. They're doing the smart things that need to happen now to make this movement happen. So speaking of which, we have a very special guest. Please welcome one of the very founders of this event and of the Global Marijuana March, Dana Beal. And of course, he's advocating for you instead of coming to the mic. Thank you, Dana. Come on.
Yeah, doing a little bit of backstage politics. We got a meeting with Ocasio-Cortez, and we've been working with the health department. Remember that cure for heroin addiction? That cure for crystal meth? We're actually working on it to get it to people. And that's really what I want to talk to you about today, was the so-called gateway effect, and why was it that the marijuana movement was concerned that all their friends were dropping dead from heroin overdoses? You know, we're supposed to be too stoned to care, right? So at the end of the 70s, actually in 1980, after Reagan was elected, and we realized, oops, we're not going to get marijuana legal right away, we started development of this. And it's called Ibogaine. But what a lot of people don't know is that shit actually works so well that the government developed their own non-psychedelic ibogaine. Now, I don't know if it'll work, but anything that would stop 70,000 people a year from dying from fentanyl in their heroin would be a good thing. Anything that would stop the dictator of the Philippines from having thousands of meth users assassinated by the police because we can show them this is a treatable medical condition would be a great thing. And what I'm saying to you today is, I know it seems like it's not the same issue. It's this other drug, so how could it be marijuana? Well, if you have a Parkinson's patient, they have tremor. The tremor can be addressed with CBD. But if they have paralysis, you gotta give them a microdose of ibogaine to reverse the damage and reverse the loss of receptors so the receptors grow back. So these things are part of a suite of natural plants put here arguably by whoever is in charge of this place, not by the government and not up to the government to take away. Right? And they are ours. They do not, remember inalienable rights? You have an inalienable right, according to the book of Genesis, to all the plants of the field. And this does not come from Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump or even Gary Johnson. This comes from the way things are. And as soon as things go back to being normal and you take away the police state, guess what? People are smoking pot. So I want a situation where the disapproval of society is against the people, what Alice used to call the little Nazis. They're not big Nazis, they don't have like swastikas, they're not swaggering, it's not like Colonel Klink or Major Strasser. They're just a bunch of little Nazis who are trying to arrest the marijuana people. Right? And we shouldn't have to even worry. But I heard the senator from New Jersey who said she would not vote for that bill to legalize pot in New Jersey. It was because she was concerned about the heroin crisis and she believed in the gateway effect. And what we got to do is just say, well, okay, you know, the marijuana movement's been around for 50 years. I've been doing this event for 50 years. And during that time, we came up with a lot of other things. And we could have, you know, been for all kinds of other drugs. But the drug we really worked on is a cure. So what I'm saying is the conscious marijuana movement, right, is trying to come out with a cure for heroin. So how can you say there's a gateway effect? If marijuana had 50 years of influence on me, and tonight I'm flying to London, which, by the way, is true, so I can talk about ibogaine at Greenwich University on Thursday, or on Tuesday, and I come right back. How could that be? It's just crazy, you know. How could the cure for heroin be causing the heroin? And, you know, marijuana is part of the cure, because people are going to have to do something. And, you know, there's a whole lot of people who are prescribed opiates when they should have been prescribed medical marijuana who have a problem today. Okay, and there's a problem with the medical profession actually is in love with opiates. And they look to take them away the minute you become addicted to them, of course, so you suffer. And, hey, wait a minute, nobody becomes addicted to marijuana. So why can't we have medical access to it? And they're still made it difficult. We just talked to, the assemblyman here, and said we had a buyers club from 1993. How about legalizing the existing medical marijuana buyers club that never went out of existence? They're still getting pot, just going out and buying pot and distributing it to patients. And it's cheaper and better than the medical marijuana system you set up with the vapes. Hey? The people can do it themselves better than the government, I'll tell you that. So we're doing a lot of stuff to the, my many fans out there. We are trying to get a building from the city for a new Yippie museum, bigger than 9 Bleecker. So, there's some hope, even though, it's really kind of rotten that we have to depend on Donald Trump to keep them from cracking down on pot. At least Roger Stone is not going to be the leader of the pot movement now. He had a little while where he said, I'm going to be the new leader of the pot movement. But we don't have the Republican Dirty Tricks Department in charge of the marijuana movement, thank God. So, I hope you're all here next year. Come to the White House on the 4th of July. We still have a little smoking at the White House. And take some time to find somebody who's against marijuana and persuade them to change their mind. We still have about 40% of the population who believes that we should be locked up. And we have to basically, I'd say, get another 15 or 20% of the electorate on our side. But thanks for coming out. It's still great to be here. Thank you.